Good afternoon, or should I say good morning because it's still morning. This is 4046. It has been a chaotic number of months and the situation has not resolved itself satisfactorily yet. However, this video is a little bit about that, where we talk about coping with failure, I suppose, is the best way of putting it. The last few months I've been absent due to this, also due to the fact that I've been doing a course that has taken up a lot of my time. That course will soon be concluded, I'm glad to say, and going forward I intend to obviously free up my ability to make videos. The last 3 months have been trying, to say the least. I've had 2 job interviews, one of which I was not that well prepared for. The second one I was prepared for, however, due to poor decisions made on the part of the interviewer, I was unsuccessful for both of them. However, I will be contesting the second one. Now, where that applies for you guys out there, there's some of you that have probably applied for a damn sight more jobs. The difference between applying for outside jobs and internal jobs, which these 2 interviews were for, is not much different really. It's almost as if you're applying for a different department, but that person doesn't really seem to give any appreciation of the person that's being interviewed. However, dealing with that is quite difficult for a lot of people. It's not just that, but sometimes these interviews and such are really important because there's a lot that can mount on them, especially if you've, for example, been out of the world of work for a long time. You just want to get back on your horse and carry on, and that is a good thing to do, is looking forward and not looking back. Easy to look back to have a retrospective, but just don't spend too much time in the past. I've spent way too much time in the past, and I feel that now it's just looking forward. Another thing would be developing the channel, because I've been absent for the best part of 3 months, if not slightly longer. I will, once the course has been finished, start looking into ways into developing the channel, or even possibly hiring an inexpensive editor, as a lot of my time is taken up in full-time work. I have been seconded somewhere else for a while, as it was felt that I would benefit from it. I have benefited from being elsewhere. However, certain events that have happened wouldn't have happened, if that makes any sense, in the normal setting. Just like many of you out there, I have been applying for jobs. Unfortunately, in my company, if you fail an interview, you cannot then apply for a job for 6 months, even if it's not the same job. And I'm not going to go into a rant about this. Those of you that know me know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's not just that. You know, life has its ups and downs, sometimes sideways as well. And it's learning to, yes, it's fine to feel rubbish and be down in the dumps for a little while, but don't spend too long in that, because if you dwell upon it for too long, too much time passes and it's draining. You know, it's exhausting. You don't want to feel that way. So also, whilst doing that, also had a couple of times where I've neglected exercise, which strangely enough I couldn't sleep earlier this morning, so at 2 o'clock this morning I went to the gym, and after that, strangely enough, I felt I could sleep for a couple of hours after that. So you know, it's good to get a bit of exercise. It releases positive endorphins into your bloodstream, as well as trying to have coping mechanisms as well. I've covered coping mechanisms before. These are trying times at the moment, as we're living in a country, and I'm not going to get political, but a country that's becoming increasingly increasingly seeming to become an anarchist style of country. We haven't got that much difference from some of the undeveloped nations anyway. That aside, and that might have been unfair, because they're not undeveloped, it's just because of the way they're run. Anyway, don't spend too much time in the dumps. After not getting the first interview I mentioned, I was in a fugue state for a while, quite a while unfortunately, and I spent too long in it. Unfortunately, on that led me down a really massive downward spiral, and I'm glad to say I'm out that spiral now. But for those of you that find anything to just lift, because the thing is, the deeper down the well you go, the worse it gets, and the harder it is to get out of the well. So even if it's little by little at a time, just managing to get yourself, raise yourself, even if it's just a little bit. It's, you know, it's not a race. It's just becoming a more effective version of yourself as quickly as possible, because if you don't, things will pass you by, or if you take too long, the recovery time is even longer. So I came out of that, as I've said before, with cancelling services, which I also possibly mentioned. I need to probably sustain that, which I'm not, but unfortunately my cash flow has been affected by my secondment, so I'll see where that leads. I had the second interview, went relatively well, and due to a couple of technicalities which have yet to be resolved, I did feel crap for about 2 days. So I am still frustrated by it, because the implications, as many of you who have applied for jobs in the past, the marketplace for, well, the competition for jobs is probably the worst it's ever been, and also sometimes the people doing the interviews are not the best people to do said task. I can definitely speak on behalf of most people that a lot of people who sit in the interviews or conduct interviews have not been in the company for very long, so they have a very different vision to the company in which you are doing. If you come from outside, it's not so bad, because you go in to the lion's den, as it were, without knowing. what you're facing. So it might be a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? A little bit more tame, shall we say. Once you're internal, it's very difficult to get in play. Even if you've got a spotless record, it's very difficult to get anywhere if you've got a system that's designed to work against you. And yes, this is coming over as a bit of a rant, and I do apologise. And I'm going to make this probably end this in a moment or so. But with all the frustrations, it's coping with it and then trying to find ways around said problem solving, really. Except it's more difficult because it's on a personal level. If you're detached from a situation or something, it's easier to make a decision and easier to recover. However, if you're personally involved in said situation, then it's difficult. So for any of you all out there, thank you for your support. I do apologise for my long absence. Obviously I've just explained what's happened, and I would like to make the next video a little bit more interesting. It's kind of an update, but also for many of you out there who have to cope with some kind of loss or some kind of falling down, as it were. Yes, I just mentioned that film. The older I become, the more I can identify with that character. However, maybe not go as far as he did. Michael Douglas. But yes, there will be more videos coming. At first, there will be a bit of a trickle because, as I said, for any of you who are interested, I have been doing a course in England. You have, or should I say Britain, there is a education fund, and there are certain groups that will provide courses. In this particular case, I'm doing English, which is quite intensive due to the fact that working full time and then putting the hours in takes up so much of your time. I would definitely recommend having a look. The particular group, I'm not sponsored by them, but the particular group I'm using is the AIM group, but there are many different providers for this. They cover things like English, maths, counselling, all that kind of stuff. So obviously, if you're in the UK, check out the AIM group. The only thing is if you drop out the course, you will be, and it does underline it, you will be applicable to have to pay £100 penalty. However, you are provided with a course, a login. You have deadlines to work to, which most of them I did succeed in. If your work is marked by a tutor and it's then returned if it's not satisfactorily completed, and then you have 7 days in which to rectify those things. But yeah, I will be doing more videos. Try and make my channel a bit more interesting, really, because I think maybe trying to get an editor would be a good thing. The only problem is my resources are a little bit low net at the moment, so I may have to just continue doing these. I probably will get a better camera, and I may even start using my new phone that I recently got, because I got my hands on a Pixel 8. See if filming with this is any better or any different. But thank you for taking the time to visit. I hope you're all doing really well. Again, thank you very much for your support. If you're new to this channel, please like and subscribe. Things can only get better from here. Thank you.